All right, guys, so you're looking to transform, develop, sculpt your chest into the one that you want. I'm going to take you through some exercises that you can do. Now, it's not going to be your regular everyday exercises. And some of you might be surprised in the movements that I'm showing you, but they are definitely quality movements that should be in your program and that you should be utilizing. So let's go. So when it comes to chest exercises, most of us are pretty well versed on the ones that we're shown on a regular basis. The bench press, the incline press, things of that nature, guys. But sometimes that doesn't work for everyone. Everyone is different, and different exercises are gonna help you to develop better. So one of the exercises that I found that really helped to develop my chest, drum roll please, is weighted push-ups. Now the push-up is an effective exercise in itself, and I've done countless amounts of push-ups. I've done sets for 20, 25, 30, to develop my chest. However, to save on time, efficiency, and also lower the volume, we can do weighted push-ups. Now the way I have my weighted push-ups is with a dip belt. You can do it with a weighted vest, your choice, but whatever you have at your disposal, you can use, guys. So I have these parallettes, aka dip bars. If I had lower ones, I wouldn't require the setup. However, in regards to the setup, I like my feet to be slightly higher than my hands on the dip bars to get a bit more incline, or should I say, sorry, decline. That way it is biasing the upper chest a little bit more, guys. But this is a powerful movement that everybody should be doing. Weighted push-ups. And the push-up is somewhat seen as a basic beginner exercise for some people, and it is kind of forgotten once you start to get into the gym and you start to develop and get stronger and stronger. However, you cannot underestimate the power of the push-up. If performed correctly, it is going to give you a crazy sculpted chest. So what I like to do is just put a weight plate on the dip belt. Now the placement of the dip belt on your back is very important, guys. We don't want it down here on the lower back. That's going to put a bit too much stress and not exactly what we're targeting. So we want it to be on the upper portion of the back, up here. Literally sitting right below the elbow crease, guys. And then once you get that into position, we bring our feet on top of here like so. And we just come down into a nice push-up, come back up. We're not letting our hips sag, we're not here. We're making sure we've got a nice concave position. We're strong. Push back up, guys. And again, push back up. Now, I would recommend that you start with a very light weight. And also, if you haven't mastered basic push-up, I wouldn't really go into the weighted push-up just yet. So I think the criteria should be you should at least be able to do 20 bodyweight push-ups in a row, no stopping, no breaks. And then you start to move into things like that weighted push-ups. You could even argue 15 in some cases. However, the weighted push-ups quality movement is scalable. So once you start to hit reps of about 10, even 8, you can add more weight. It is going to get more difficult each time adding the weight because loading it is not always the most easiest thing. However, it is a simple movement that you can do. It requires little to no equipment, and you can continually progress it, and it is going to grow your chest, guys. Especially because you're using dip bars, it allows us to get an extra stretch on the chest down the bottom compared to if we were doing it on the floor. We can get that extra stretch just there. Push back up, more gains, more growth. That's what we like to see. So just to show you from an alternate position, so you can see the stretch and the emphasis that this movement places on the chest. We're here, nice and strong, come down, nice and controlled. And then it's a strong push back up, guys. Push back up. One more for the culture. Push back up. And that is really going to help to develop your chest. Now, whatever method of training that you use, if you are a serious candidate and really want to transform your body, you need to get yourself a set of dip bars. They are pretty inexpensive, depending on which ones you get, guys. You don't have to buy the most expensive one. There's different ranges, different prices for everyone. Just make sure that you've got a good quality set of dip bars that is going to allow you to do these movements. This movement that we're going to do is going to involve the dip bars because it is going to be weighted dips. Now, why weighted dips? Because it is really going to develop that lower chest and again get that stretch on the chest that we're looking for as well. Now, I'm not overemphasizing the stretch, however, it is important to really engage the tissue that we're trying to grow, guys. So, weighted dips, aka the upper body squat. Some argue it is the most powerful chest movement that you can do to help grow your chest. Something that I didn't really focus on in my early phase of getting into fitness, which I wish I had, because once now I started doing dips, my chest growth has been exponential at the end of the day. And again, hitting that lower chest gives your chest a nice full look. So weighted dips, pretty much the same setup as normal dips. However, we're going to put a weight plate on. Again, I like to use a dip belt. You can use a weighted vest. You can even use a backpack for both movements. Just put some weights whatever in your backpack or something heavy. However, weighted dip, nice and simple. This is how I like to perform mine. So we're starting here. Come down, push back up, push back up, and up. Again, it's going to put the chest under a lot of stress, which again is going to help it grow, guys. Now, we're using weights again, which means it is scalable. So once you do start to find that a weight is a little bit too easy, we can always go up. We can add more and more weight in a safe manner. Progressive overload. We're not trying to, one rep max in this sort of position, because that can become dangerous. However, you find a load that you can manage for a good quality set of maybe 6, 8, maximum 10 reps, depending on what weights you have at your disposal, and then you can progress from there. Showing you from an alternate angle so I can really emphasize how powerful this movement is. So when we're coming down, now the important thing to remember is that we're not sacrificing the depth just to add more weight. So as much as you want to progress, you want to move more weight, you want to tell everybody that you can do 30 kilos for reps, we still want to make sure that we get in that depth. You should feel that stretch on your chest when you're coming down. It doesn't have to be overemphasized. You don't have to have, your shoulders touching your ears. However, we should at least be coming to a 90-degree angle and pushing back up, guys. Simple as that. As much as I enjoy performing calisthenics, it is not the only training method that I do to develop my body, and I've never pretended that it has. Now, there have been stages in life where I only focus on calisthenics compared to doing traditional weighted movements. So with that being said, the final movement that I believe that is really going to help to grow your chest is the incline press. Now, specifically, I'm going to be doing an incline dumbbell press. Now, you say, why dumbbells over the barbell? I find that it allows me for a better range of motion. Instead of being in a fixed bar position, it makes my shoulders allowed to freely move a little bit more. However, we're not here to get into that and that. We just want to focus on this movement. Now, this is a quality upper chest movement, hence the incline. So when you're performing this movement, you want to put the bench at an incline. Rock back. And we're just pressing here, guys. Just like that. Now, if you notice my hand movement, palm movement of my hands, I'm not out here, that's too much flare. That's going to put a lot of stress on the shoulders. You kind of want your arms in a little bit at a nice 45-degree angle at least, so that the pushing power is more so placed on your chest. The stress is more so placed on your chest, rather than out here, you're putting a lot of stress on the shoulders, which we don't want, because that can lead to an injury. So we're more powerful when we're in here compared to out here. So you want to be nice here, strong, just like that. So I'll run you through it again. So, in here, and it's a strong pushing movement right there. Just like that, guys. That is 3 movements that you can use to develop your chest. Movements that I've used specifically over the last few years to really help with my chest growth, guys. I've probably done more chest exercises than most people. Just, you know, going to different gyms, being in different places, all this other stuff. Now, I'm not saying these are the absolute best, but these are options that you can use that are going to get results. Why? Because I've been doing them, I've done them, I've tried different things, whatever. The only thing I will say is that don't get caught up into the idea that more is better, that you have to do a million chest exercises in order for your chest to grow. That's incorrect, it's wrong, and it's probably going to lead to less growth than you actually want. So at the end of the day, I would suggest picking maybe 2 or 3 exercises that you enjoy, that you can scale, that you can progressively overload, depending on your situation, if you're at home or the gym, whatever. But you just want to make sure that the movement is going to allow you to add more load over time, more resistance, things of that nature, and just be patient. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, you comment, and you subscribe with that good stuff. And I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Peace.